Hey everyone, it's Jason. Quick episode today. We had a few ideas from people for things that you wanted me to juggle. Someone had mentioned juggling bottles of Diet Coke with Mentos in them, which I really like that idea. That is still on the list, let me tell you that. I didn't have time to get any diet soda, and I'm not doing it with full sugar soda because I will get covered. Oh, and it looks like we got a few people watching. Awesome. Say hi. Let me know you're here. Looks like maybe my mom, my dad, my wife. It's basically my family is watching me. That's great. But if you do have ideas, let me know in the comments for new ideas. Like I said, the Diet Coke and Mentos, definitely going to be one I want to put in. We also had some ideas for some dangerous stuff today. And that's basically the stunt I'm going to do. Again, unless anyone comes up with something in the comments in the next few minutes that I can grab and try juggling. Dave Rowe, awesome musician, he mentioned the idea of juggling Big Macs. And then he said, if you don't have Big Macs, how about some tacos? And then I said, are you hungry? And he said, would that make you think any less of me? And then he went to a whole bunch of things. I think we ended up on water balloons, but I've actually already juggled baggies of water, which was really hard to do. And I'm pretty sure if I remember right, I got a bunch of stuff wet. So today I'm going to be juggling one of my newest, craziest inventions. Two of them, actually. But this one I made literally for this show because somebody mentioned it. So, hey Mom. So I'm going to first show you the one I made a little while ago. I have them a little further away, so just bear with me. I'm going to run over and grab it because they are dangerous. I don't want them right near me. Oh, and actually to do this, I need to wear some safety equipment. That's right. Gloves. They actually say Hardy on them. I know it's backwards to you, but it says Hardy. And that's funny because my name's Tardy. At least I thought it was funny. They're actually just the cheapest ones I could get. Hey, Lisa's watching. Guessing the kids. Having some lunch. All right, so I got my gloves on. First, let me show you, and if you saw the last episode, you've already seen this before. And I think I juggled it in an episode earlier. It's hard for me to even keep track of what I have done. But let me get the first one. And that is the flaming saw blade. Yes. So I do juggle saw blades sometimes in my show. I actually have a whole cool trick I do where I juggle 2 saw blades and an apple, and I cut the apple in half with the saw blade, and I actually take bites of the apple as well. I don't use the flaming saw blade for that. I use regular, actually I got them right here. I use these 2 saw blades right here. This one, you can probably tell how I made it. I'll explain it. This is kind of fun. I don't get to do this in a show. I don't have time for that, but I actually have a bolt going right through there. On the other side is a nut. I wrapped it with the fire torch wick, and I didn't want to try sewing it. There are ways of sewing it, Ted. Oh my! There are ways of sewing this stuff with a special, basically, I think it's Kevlar string or something like that. But I didn't want to do that, so I just used these clamps and kind of round around it because they're metal. And I'm not going to be touching that part anyway. I hold it right here in the middle. When I throw it, get it so you see it like that. Pretty cool. So sometimes, yeah, that's why I'm so clean shaven. Sometimes I juggle these with 2 fireballs. And my friend Steve Corning, also a great juggler, he borrowed my fireballs. So I said, hey, I want to juggle these in the next show. You guys got any ideas? And someone came up with the idea of something really cool. Before I show you that though, I'm going to show you the other thing. It's just basically a fire torch. And fire torches are a really common thing. This is the thing you buy, from a juggling company. Again, don't try any of the dangerous stuff I'm doing. I am trained, believe it or not. I actually know what I'm doing. I know how to make mistakes. I know how to fix those mistakes. I know how not to get hurt. But in any case, this is a normal fire torch. It's basically a wooden dowel inside this. And they cover it with this plastic and some of this material. And then there's a metal pipe here. And then around the metal pipe is that same wicking you saw right here. Right? Same kind of wicking going on right there. And then there's a couple screws screwed in, and they go right into the metal pipe. And if you're really good, when you replace the wick, you can actually hit that hole in the metal pipe. And if you're not that good, you just push really hard and get it in there. So that's the fire torch. We got the fire saw. And now the last thing, really cool. This is the one somebody came up with. I don't even remember who it was now. I don't think it was me. I'm pretty sure it wasn't me. But someone said a fire axe. And in my head I went, I can do that. I've made juggling axes before. I have my juggling axe. Let me show you my juggling axe I've made. I made a couple. This is my newest juggling axe. And this is actually made from a saw blade, which I had to cut, which I found really quickly is, oh, juggle a fire extinguisher? That'd be funny. These things are really hard to cut. So I did get it cut with a grinder. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it is actually really sharp because it is a real saw blade. So I've stood on a yoga ball and juggled this and accidentally sliced open my yoga ball. So it's really sharp. The other axe I have, I did actually buy from a juggling company, and I modified it to be flaming. The axe I bought from the juggling company, I actually didn't like the way it was weighted. It flips really, I call it hammer heavy, where it's super heavy on one end. It doesn't really want to rotate right, so I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the axe you can actually buy. Now this one actually might look scarier, and this part right here, this whitish burny part was not there. But this actually looks way scarier. Believe it or not, this is way less dangerous than the one I made. It looks really cool though. I love the way it looks, and that's why I bought it. But again, when you rotate it, it's not rotating kind of on the center. The rotation point is way over here somewhere. So it kind of does this weird thing. And I really didn't like it, especially when I'm standing on a yoga ball and juggling an axe, a spiked mace, and a plunger. I want to really feel comfortable with the three things I'm juggling. So making my own axe, I like the way it turned out anyway. So this is the other one. So what I did is I actually learned how to do this kind of wicking. It's a little bit different when I learned how to make my fire torches. And the way this works is actually, and don't do this. Right? Do not make your own fire equipment. But this is educational. So educational purposes only. The way you make a wick like this is actually use cotton fabric. So I just went to Walmart a while back. I got a bunch of this white cotton fabric. And you use white school glue. And you put a little bit of white school glue on the fabric, wrap it around, and then that glue touches the other piece of fabric. You wrap it around, wrap it around, wrap it around, and then you glue it again. And when you glue it again, and then you light it, that glue hardens and basically connects those two. So that glue, even though you think school glue isn't that great, when you light it on fire, after dipping it in fuel, that's important too, you gotta dip it in the right fuel, which I'm not letting you guys know what the fuel is. But once you do that, you can see right here, this black, how it's really, really dark, that hardens up, and that basically seals it on there. So I'll show you real quick, my fire eating torches, right here. This is my fire eating torch, and that's made the same way. It's basically an aluminum shaft, and then right there, that black part, you can see that's where I put the glue. So I'm so not going to do that. Oh no, Ted. Ted's got some cool videos he's been making with just like really cool random things, and now he's gonna add fire to everything, I think. If you burn your house down, you're lucky your wife makes a lot of money. So yeah, this is made the same way. Wrap it and glue it. So there's been times I've been on the road and been like, oh, my fire eating torch fell apart completely. I can easily go to Walmart or the theater I've been in. They've been like, yeah, sure, we got an old t-shirt and some kids' school glue. Here you go. And I can make my own fire torches. So this is again for fire eating, that kind of stuff, and not fire juggling. Fire juggling we use, it's actually a professional wicking product you buy from a juggling company. So I know I've talked a lot. You guys are like, can you just juggle the dangerous stuff? I do have some safety precautions. Got my hose. All right, everybody's worried about this stuff. I'm in the Tardy auditorium, which I actually call the Garage-atorium. And I do have a curtain back there. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be that close to it. I have a hose. I got my wet towel soaked in water. That is really good. That puts out things fast. And actually, I don't even have a rug. I got rid of the rug because I don't think I really need it in here anyway. You guys can't usually see the floor. And also, I don't want to catch it on fire. So, without further ado, I think we're ready. I am gonna just do a quick touch up on the fuel. So normally with a fire torch, you can just dip it in the fuel, which is what I have over here. I got a big canister of the fuel, and I dipped it, and then just shake it out a little bit. That's what I'm doing off camera. I'm shaking the torch just so it's not throwing fuel everywhere. And actually this fuel is pretty good because it won't usually throw fire everywhere. For things like this, you can't really dip this thing in fuel, so I have one of these squirt bottles. And this is actually what came with the fire juggling balls. So I'm just gonna add a little bit because this stuff does evaporate. And I did dip it a little while ago. I wanna make sure it works for you guys. Also, to put it out, I learned real quickly, you need a way to put this thing out. And sometimes blowing on it doesn't work. So I bought a really cheap pan at Goodwill. And if I put it in there, close it up, it cuts off the oxygen, goes right out. So between my towel, the pan, and just blowing out the torch, I think I'm good. But I'm gonna get this going here. Let that soak in. All right, so again, not a whole lot of juggling in today's show, more explanation on fire, all that stuff. Again, it's really dangerous. You don't want to mess around with it if you don't know what you're doing. And I have been burned. People ask me all the time, have you been burned? Yes, I've been burned. Luckily, nothing too bad. And most of the time when I get burned, it's from the fire breathing, actually. That's the most dangerous thing. And fire eating, for sure. And I've barely ever lit anything on fire. One time in front of Natalie Merchant at a private resort in Maine, but she loved the show. We talked to her after, and she didn't seem to mind that we lit our backdrop on fire. Maybe she thought it was part of the show. So here we go. I got my 3 things. Also, these are very different. This one, normally, I juggle kind of more like a juggling ring. So I'm going to have to be a little bit different on how I throw this one, which is going to make it harder. But I practiced them not lit, so I knew what I was doing. Should have practiced them lit. That would have been smart. All right, so where should I be? I want to be close to the camera, probably here-ish. I might go up just a tad. There. So you can see everything, doesn't go out of frame. I can set the things down on the floor when I'm done. Are you guys ready? Okay. I'm gonna light the torch last. Think, and this one, fire axe. It's on fire. Good, got all the excess fuel. So that one's lit, and now actually I don't need the lighter anymore. I just light this one off of that one. So we have, it's hard to see, it's so bright. All right, so I'm gonna put that in this hand, that in this hand. The torch is lit, all 3 things. Ready, set, wait, hold on. There, good. Yes! Did it! Perfect. All right, I'm gonna set these down. Blow that one out. That one's not gonna go out that easy. The towel. That one's just gonna stay in the pan. Cool. Awesome. So, the patron saint of Saint Julian the Hospitalizer. Awesome. So that is juggling those 3 things. Again, that's really hard, especially because not really the axe. It's more the, take the wet towel off there. It's more the flaming saw blade. That's actually the really, really hard part of that because it is so different in how it spins. But I want to thank you guys. If you like what I do, feel free to support me. The link in there for Venmo, PayPal, all that kind of stuff if you want to give me a donation. Also, if you know of any events, fundraising shows, school shows, any kids that are having birthday parties, I have a really special price for kids' birthday parties. I've done a bunch of those. They're really fun. But in either case, enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Give me some ideas in the comments. New ideas of things to juggle. I feel like we're running out of ideas. You guys have given me so many. But I'm going to come up with some new stuff on my own as well. So keep the ideas coming, and I will see you on Wednesday.